Hi guys, welcome to Unit 5. In this unit, we are going to start preparing for the formal business report, which is your last major assignment for this class. So I'm mostly going to review chapter 18 in the textbook. I'm going to go over the formatting for the formal business report. So this should be helpful to you, but I'm also going to tell you something else which is really important. I'm going to tell you the really important thing first. Now you may have noticed that you get to choose your topic for this report, but you may be wondering, well, how am I supposed to do that? So I can tell you because I've taught this class many times in the past, and typically the Kane online school, which is, I don't know exactly who it is, but someone in the Kane online school creates this class on Canvas. I actually don't upload any of the content. The only way I can share material with you is by posting an announcement. But anyway, in past years when I have taught this class, typically in Unit 5, there is a very lengthy list of topics that is provided to the students, and it's really long. It has topics in accounting, finance, human resources, marketing, information systems, management, general business, education, and campus issues. I don't remember how many, but there are a lot. It's probably between 50 and 100 different sample topics that you can read about and choose from. And this time, first, I don't know why, but it's not that list of topics is not included on Canvas. But I'm going to post the link for it in the announcement that I post that has the Unit 5 lecture. So even if you don't watch the whole lecture, hopefully you'll see this part and you'll hear me tell you about the link to the sample topics. Please do yourself a favor, make sure that you read this list. It will help give you ideas. I can't imagine anyone attempting to do this assignment without it. So please make sure that you check that out. Again, that will be posted in the announcement where I post the Unit 5 lecture. What else? I also posted an announcement today that had 3 real formal business reports from companies that we're all familiar with. I posted one from Tiffany and Company, one from Tesla, and one from another organization, which the name of which I can't recall right now, but there was an interesting article about the middle class. So anyway, I posted all of those so you can take a look at some actual business reports. They're all very different. I personally found the Tiffany and Company report to be the most enjoyable to read in terms of the layout, the format. It's absolutely beautiful and visually stunning. Just everything about it. To me, that one was the most compelling, and it was by far the best. So if you get a chance and you want to you don't have to read them all, but even just scroll through each of the reports just to get a sense of different ways that you can arrange yours. In terms of the layout, there are some aspects of the report that you do have to follow, but in terms of graphics and the visual effects, much of that is up to you. And how do you choose that? Well, I would say based on your topic and your intended audience. So one last thing before I get to the lecture, when you look at the list of sample topics, so I saw one that I really liked. My sample topic was in the finance section. I didn't copy down the whole question because it's very long, but the topic it's on is CEO compensation. So income inequality is an issue that I feel very passionately about, and I can never get tired of learning and reading about it. So it's question number 2 in the finance section, and it begins, a frequent topic in business is the issue of CEO compensation. And essentially, if you chose that option, I'm just trying to see if I can find it. If you chose that option, you would be writing about the issue. the issue of CEO compensation. I'll read it to you. A frequent topic in business is the issue of CEO compensation. Critics complain that CEO salaries have become exorbitant and should be capped. Is it unethical for executive salaries to exceed, let's say, 24 times the average wage of employees? Should executive pay be tied to an organization's profits? Select a large public company for which salary data are available. As a member of a stockholder or watchdog group, you have been asked to examine its executive salaries and report to the group which thinks salaries are excessive. What conclusions would you draw, and what recommendations would you make to stockholders? Okay, so that's just one of the many sample topics that is provided in the document that I'm going to give you a link for. But the last thing I wanted to say is that will give you a sample topic, but you're still going to have to create a hypothetical scenario. For example, a company or an organization that you work for, and then perhaps a company or an organization that you are going to be researching. So in the sample that I just read you, it provided most of the variables, but let's say you choose an example that asks you to pretend you work in a human resources department, and you've been asked to prepare a report on the benefits of providing childcare on site and at no cost to employees. I would, well, actually, no, you don't have to create the name of a company or choose an existing company, but if you want to, you can. Okay, so that's it as far as the information I wanted to give you before the lecture, and now we will get into the lecture. So the lecture is going to cover chapter 18 from the textbook. You may have noticed that it says on Canvas that our reading for this unit is chapters 18 and 20 in the textbook, but there is no chapter 20. That's not my error. Again, the Canvas course is created by the Kane Online School, so whoever created it erroneously listed a chapter 20. They must mean chapter 19. Chapter 19 provides sample business reports for you to look at. So I'm just going to go over the most important parts of chapter 18. Okay, here we go. So formal business reports are typically intended either to inform or to analyze. And the book tells us that in your professional life, it is likely that you will be asked to prepare a formal report. I've never been asked to do that, but I don't work in the business world. So types of formal reports are business proposals, annual reports, which typically report on a company's performance, most importantly financial, but in other areas as well. There are also many problem-solving studies, and these typically are tasked with answering a question. So perhaps the question is, should we invest in natural gas? The problem to solve would be, what are the pros and cons of investing in natural gas, and do the pros outweigh the cons, and that sort of thing. Reports can also be scientific experiments or scientific inquiries. The two of the samples that I posted, the one from Tiffany and Company was their 2021 sustainability report. And if you get a chance, it's very interesting. It reports on their the way that they get their diamonds and their jewels, and it sounds like they hold themselves to a high ethical standard in the report, at least. And then the Tesla report is the annual financial report for Tesla for 2023. So those are also two examples. But anyway, an informative report typically is an annual report on finance or the progress of a company, and it doesn't contain recommendations or conclusions. So an analytical report is the more complicated of the two, and that's the one that we are going to be discussing in terms of format. So an analytical report is persuasive. It solves a problem, and it's often in response to a request, but not always. Let's see. A formal report most often is intended to go outside of the organization, but it can also be prepared within an organization for people in that organization. Whether the report is intended for inside of the organization or if it's going to go beyond the organization, that will determine some of the formatting in terms of whether you would go with a memo or a letter, because remember, memos are for internal use. So a formal report differs from an informal report in these ways. So listen, because this is important. So the writing in a formal report is much closer to academic writing than it is to business and professional writing. The language can be complex. I know up until this point we've been saying to use simple language, not big words, not jargon, not specialized language, but in a formal business report it is actually okay to use bigger words, more complicated terms, and even specialized language. Sentences in a formal business report can be longer, paragraphs can be longer, and it is okay for you to explore complex ideas. No contractions. What does that mean? You wouldn't write don't, you would write out do not. There are also no abbreviations. For example, you would not write etc for it, which means etc. You would write out etc, etcetra. So no abbreviations. There is no use of you or I. Instead, you would write in the objective third person, or as long as you don't have to, as long as you don't use you or I. Okay, so those are the primary ways that a formal business report is different from the plain language that we have been discussing. The design of a formal report varies, and you'll definitely get a sense of that if you look at the samples that I posted in the announcement from this afternoon. The Tiffany and Company report has tons of graphics, it has photos, it has charts, it's very colorful, it's actually visually really stunning. It has pictures of the jewelry. The Tesla report, I'll be honest, I didn't make it through nearly as much of it because it was very kind of just text heavy, not as enticing visually. You get to decide how you want your report to look visually. You should choose visual effects that are appropriate for your topic and your audience. So in general, if you're trying to convince an audience of something, if you're trying to be persuasive, it's better to use more graphics and visual effects because those techniques are more reader friendly. Okay, so in terms of formatting, your formal business report has 3 parts. There is the front matter, that's the first section, the body, that's the second section, and then the back matter, that's the third section. Again, your report is going to have 3 sections or 3 parts: the front matter, the body, and the back matter. Now again, we are preparing an analytical report, and I'm going to go over the components of the front matter. So the front matter is the first section, and the front matter has a numbering system that is different from the numbering in the body of the report. In the front matter, you're going to use Roman numerals, and that would be like a Roman numeral 1, a Roman numeral 2, 3, and on and on.